Well, just 1 second. There may be questions. Any questions for the presenter? Now, seeing no motion to receive. Moved by Terry, seconded by Bob. All in favor? Carried. Thank you very much. We're now going to go on to presentations, and staff has suggested we just go straight to questions and answers, but John McKendrick from Infrastructure Ontario would like to make some opening comments, so I'll turn the floor over to you, John.
Thank you, Councillor Ferguson and committee members. Thank you, Mayor Bertina. First of all, good morning, and thank you for your invitation to come to the Precinct Committee today. Beside me is Greg Stack from Ontario Sports Solutions. He can provide an update on construction progress and the application for the occupancy permit for the Labor Day Classic game. I was at the stadium site this morning, touring the site to get an update along with the Tiger Cats. Encouraging progress has been made over the last week since I last toured the site. As everyone knows, the City Building Department and the inspectors are currently reviewing the occupancy permit application and all the major components of it. They are still awaiting further details, including compliance letters from Ontario Sports Solutions, in order to complete their review. I want to acknowledge and personally thank the city's building inspectors and the department for all their hard work. They have been excellent to work with from day one and have put in a lot of hours with the builders to give this project the best opportunity possible to open on September 1st. Without their dedication, the Labor Day Classic wouldn't even be a possibility. I also want to thank all the workers and subcontractors who I know have put in extended hours, including evenings and weekends, in order to get the stadium finished. We all want to watch football at the new stadium. You have my and my team's continued commitment to make this happen. Thank you.
Thank you, John. And I guess, and Mr. Mayor, I'll let you take a chair for a second. John, I guess the question that everybody has in the community is, will you be ready for Monday?
I think at this point, I'd like to turn it over to Greg to give an update on the construction progress. Greg?
Yes, good morning, everyone. And just before I do that, we'd also like to thank the City Building Department and all the inspectors. They've been terrific through this process and have worked with us hand in hand throughout the last several weeks, and we appreciate that very much. I came from the site this morning as well, met with some of our teams that are looking after specific aspects of getting occupancy for the building. As of right now, we feel that we will attain that. There's nothing that has come up over the last week or the last couple of days that indicate that we're in severe jeopardy of obtaining an occupancy permit. The next few days are very critical. We have a number of tests that are going to be done over the next 2 or 3 days, and we are putting together all the required documentation to obtain the occupancy permit. That's in progress as well. But as of right now, and it's almost an hourly situation at the site, we feel that we'll be able to attain that.
Okay, and through you, Mr. Chair, Greg, so you say, is it 100% chance it'll be ready? Is that what you're saying, or is it less than that?
Well, I wouldn't, I wouldn't want to say 100% because I'm not sure what can happen over the next few days. All I can tell you is that we are aware of the requirements that we need to comply with. We have actions in place to make sure that we comply with those requirements, and if it goes as our plan, that we will achieve it. But there may be something that comes up tomorrow or the next day that could put a flaw into that, but we're not aware of it right now.
Okay, but
I know it's frustrating.
Yeah, the question I always get asked, and the public wants to know, what's the percentage chance?
Again, I don't want to make predictions, but we're well above 50%.
Okay. Back to John or Greg, the original, or a few weeks ago, the substantial completion date as defined by the contract was October 2nd. Has that changed?
No, as of right now, that hasn't changed.
Okay. And to our Chief Building Official, Ed, I'm getting a lot of inquiries about, I think it's called Level 6, which is the upper bowl on the west side. Are you expecting an application for occupancy of that area, or will it definitely not be ready?
There are 2 points to that. First of all, there's been no request for occupancy for that level, and it will not be ready. It requires the handrails, guardrails, fire alarm systems, sprinkler systems to be completed prior to occupancy, and they will not be completed by the game day.
Okay, and you've explained to me that a big part of getting occupancy is compliance letters from the professionals, architects, engineers, et cetera. How is that going?
So every project, through the chair, requires the architect who designs the building and engineers involved to sign off with us that the work being done is conformance to the general review plans and design. Today, we've received no letters from them as of yet. We hope to see them in the next couple of days, but as of today, we've received no letters from the design professionals overseeing the project.
And when do you need them by in order to be ready to go to have an occupancy permit for September 1st?
Our staff will receive them as they come in and review them and then correspond them with the drawings and the plans. So the earlier we get them, the better it is for us. Getting them on Saturday or Sunday is unhelpful to us because other offices are closed and we can't do our work then.
Okay. Are the elevators working now? One elevator working? Will it be ready for the game?
From what we're seeing on site, there'll be no elevators working for the game.
So how will we meet the needs of the people who require AODA access, the accessibility requirements for those fans attending the game?
Yeah, certainly through the chair. There is a north patio being constructed at the moment, and we've been advised there'll be room for 40 wheelchairs on that north patio for the game day.
Okay. Are you satisfied with the activity on site?
Pardon me, I didn't hear the question.
Are you satisfied with the activity on site?
As of late, we've seen double shifting and triple shifting of workers on site, so they're aggressively working as of today.
Okay, and back to Greg for one question. And you heard Ed say that he needs these professional compliance letters preferred by Thursday. Are you going to be able to meet that for the building department?
That is our intent.
Okay. And a couple questions. I see there's a couple lawyers here. Just through the chair. Two more quick questions. Just two Brians. The right Brian can answer the question. Are we setting up for the game, and can we do so before we get occupancy? Do you have any knowledge about this from a contractual perspective?
Through the chair, at the moment, the site is still under the care and control of ONSS, and the temporary use is primarily an arrangement between ONSS and the Tiger Cats to hold events that have been agreed to for an amount that's been agreed to. At the moment, the Tiger Cats, we have supported the Tiger Cats, and the Tiger Cats have arranged with the contractor to get as many subs, operational subs in there as possible, including concessions, security, and so forth.
So the broadcasters are setting up too then?
Yes, through the Tiger Cats, the broadcasters have been through the stadium.
So the caterer, the broadcasters, the team's setting up their locker rooms now to be prepared for Monday. That's an arrangement between ONS and the Ticats then?
As far as we know, that's true. They have made arrangements. We know that they've been on site, and we have supported them as best we can with all our operational support and contacts.
Okay, and have we got an agreement on a temporary use agreement, a legal document, since we don't have substantial completion?
The agreement has been agreed to on business terms, and we are very close to it. We are in the drafting stage, and we anticipate it to be signed, inked tomorrow.
Good. Okay, that's all my questions. I'll take the chair back.
Thank you. I have Councillor Whitehead for you.
Terry?
Thank you. Originally, there was some discussion regarding certain new types of equipment and appropriate training for staff at the field. So I guess the first question is, what is the status of that training, and is everyone up to speed with all the necessary regulatory requirements on the training?
You're talking about our staff? Or?
Our staff, well, whoever's operating the machinery.
Okay, Jerry, I'll let you start that. You may want to deflect off to Rome.
Yeah. So through the chair, Rome's coming down. The operation of the stadium during game day is by the Tiger Cats and the contractor with their support staff there. Our staff will be on site, but we're not operating the stadium, and Rome can give you some more specifics on that.
Okay, just for clarification, we had a presentation. There was a concern, and I have that noted, that there was certain equipment that was coming in that our staff needed to be trained on in regards to field preparation and so forth. So I'm not talking about periphery operational type stuff. I'm talking about the actual, whether it's a plant or whether it's a piece of equipment that vacuums or works on the field, or you identified a number of areas that you were concerned about the ability to ensure that our staff were trained up to the new equipment.
So through the chair, we're concerned with that. If we were taking substantial completion and we were taking ownership of the stadium for the game, they were our concerns. They still will be our concerns, but at this point in time, the city is not taking ownership or operating the stadium. It's being done by the Tiger Cats and the contractor.
So, Mr. Chair, then it begs the question to the appropriate individual who can answer it. There are certain requirements under occupational health, certain requirements under training and so forth on certain equipment. How are we assured that whoever's operating those equipment, that equipment, meets all these certifications and training?
So through the chair, and I'm looking down at Greg, but the contractor will provide all the satisfaction for the health and safety and the operation of equipment on their site as they do right now.
Okay, so help me understand then, if this is specialized equipment for the operation of the field and the contractor builds, doesn't maintain, help me understand how this new equipment that will be utilized primarily for the preparation of the field and stadium falls under the contractor's bailiwick in regards to meeting the regulatory requirements and certifications for the operation of the equipment. Help me understand that, because those are two separate pieces.
I suspect that the only equipment we'll be operating is the line markings, and that'll be on the field. So, Ron or Jerry, do you want to take that?
Through the chair, we have yet to receive the equipment for the stadium, but we do have a third party lined up to paint the field. The individual that's painting the field is the same individual that does the Rogers Center, so he's scheduled to come in tomorrow. So he has all the equipment, all the safety requirements, will abide by those standards.
And that's the clarification I was looking for, Mr. Chair. The other question I have is whether it's the fire suppression system or whatever other pressure test and those kinds of things that I guess for occupancy we will be investigating before permits are provided. The question I have is, has the contractor already tested this before the formal testing?
This is, I suspect, part of the temporary use agreement.
Correct. So anything that will be testing, has it already been tested by the contractor, is my question.
So it's still a construction site, so the contractor is responsible for health and safety on the site. Is that correct, Greg?
Yes, that's correct. And we have been testing the systems, and will continue to test the systems over the next 3 days. So we're in compliance with the life safety system for the facility. We won't obtain an occupancy permit unless we are. So that's part and parcel to what we have to do through this process.
Okay, so what I'm understanding then is that it hasn't been tested, but it's going to be tested during the course of our inspection to get the occupancy permit. Is that correct?
That's correct. Some of it has been tested already. We've put it in zones, so we're just moving towards the complete area that we need for to play the football game and the occupancy of those areas. So it's not something that's just starting, it's been ongoing.
Percentage of the testing has been taken to date, and what remains to provide the occupancy permit?
Ed?
Through the chair, we've scheduled a testing day on Thursday. We'll be just testing the alarm systems, the sprinkler systems, monitoring systems. On Thursday will be a full day test.
Thank you. And what is required? I guess you have to get some kind of an electrical sign-off as well as architectural. Is that correct?
Ed?
Yes, CSA will have to approve the electrical system in this building. That's correct.
And are they the ones that have to go in and do their own inspections before signing off?
Yes, they will.
And has their date been set for that?
I'm not aware of any.
Okay, those are my questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Morrow.
I don't want to detract from the broader issues or the seriousness of the big issues, I did hear from someone who lives not immediately beside the stadium. And again, this is a neighborhood concern which I feel compelled to reflect. Ms. Secor was good enough to follow up for me with, I assume others in the room. The brightness of lights at night was a very real problem for someone quite a distance from the stadium, and I'm wondering if she could reiterate what the solution might be, and if there's any other information that might be helpful as well. I want to try to keep a handle on that and assure people that it won't be a permanent problem.
Corley?
I'm maybe going to pass that off to Ed, because I think it's part of the site plan approval process on the lighting. We did have a...
It looks like Ed's trying to deflect the planning.
Yeah, no, we did have a concern from a neighbor who was a few blocks away indicating that the brightness of the lights, and they were testing them. They were testing them at the highest illumination, so we're just trying to figure out what the process is beyond that.
Okay, so Steve Robichaud, Director of Planning.
Through you, Mr. Chairman, to the Ward Councillor, as a condition of site plan approval, the proponents are required to submit a lighting plan to the city, and that lighting plan is to demonstrate there is no light pass onto the adjacent properties. There is a minimum and a maximum requirement of how much light can sort of trespass onto the other properties, and it's to be mitigated through light shields, the orientation of the lighting, et cetera, et cetera. And it is reviewed and prepared by professional engineering with expertise in that area. And should there be an issue of light trespassing, then we will follow up with the property owner to ensure that they are in conformity with the approved site plan provisions.
Thank you. Is it practical, however, to assume that it can be dealt with, or is it going to end up possibly a mechanical issue that just can't be easily resolved?
Steve?
Through Mr. Chairman, we do strive to ensure that there isn't a light trespass issue, so it's becoming a problem for the adjacent property owners, and it's sort of examined prior to any final sign-off and release for the building permit. So what we can do is follow up with your office offline to provide you with a copy of that information, and if you have a resident or constituent who is having an issue, we can work with them to address their specific concern. But it's not supposed to be a problem. Sometimes it's simply a matter that the equipment wasn't properly installed, or it just needs to be tweaked after it's been installed to ensure that it's meeting the requirements of the approved site plan drawings. And since those site plan drawings do form sort of an agreement between us, the property owner, and the operator, we do strive to ensure that we don't have this problem.
Well, thank you. That's reassuring. Does anyone else have any more information on the...
I assume the light aiming and shielding is not complete yet. It won't be an issue for Monday because it's a day game, so there'll be no lights. But does anybody else have anything to add on the aiming and shielding of light spillage? No? I haven't seen Greg volunteer. No? So we'll have to wait and see once we get that substantial completion on October 2nd when they flip the lights on at night to see what type of spillage there is.
Thanks.
Okay, I see no other questions. One more just to, if I can, to Greg. Will the scoreboard be working Monday?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so I see no other questions. Motion to receive all those presentations in, moved by the mayor, seconded by Terry. You have a question, Terry?
Just a question of access, because currently, even though they're moving heaven and earth to get as prepared as possible to meet the requirements of the occupational, temporary occupation permit, there are still, and I know you got fenced areas, but there's still access issues to the stadium. So can you help me understand, on game day, providing the temporary permit is provided, what is the access routes? Are there going to be designated access routes? Obviously, you can't access the stadium from all locations based on the construction, because certainly we need to educate the general public that are attending the game what areas are the no-go areas. So can you help me understand in advance what those areas are?
The entrance to the stadium will be on the South Plaza. There'll be two gates. The two main gates in the South Plaza will be used as the entrance and exit from the grounds of the stadium. Within the building itself, there will be a number of egress and ingress locations for people to get in and out of the building, but the primary exit and entry point is at the South Plaza.
Thank you.
Okay, Glenn?
just going to comment that the Tiger Cat organization is working in cooperation with ONSS daily. We are on site virtually every day now. We're commissioning the stadium with the expectation we'll be playing there on Monday. We comply in going on site to Councillor Whitehead's questions about safety. We take safety training courses. We're WMIS aware, we're OSHA aware. The contractor ultimately is responsible for the site while he has ownership of it, and they have very good governance, and we comply with their governance and respectful of how we go in and out of this site. And right now, as you can appreciate, we do have many sub-trades that are working for us that are bringing, food and beverage into the stadium with the expectation of what we see in front of us. So, we're very positive about what we've seen. Our owner was here yesterday and with the mayor and expressing a lot of positive energy around, if there's a will, there's a way. And the one thing that we've all said very strongly is that if there's a will, there's a way, but it has to be ultimately a safe environment for our fans. And I think the biggest thing that we've seen over the course of the last week or two is that this is the most anticipated event that we've seen in the last 100 years in this city. It's incredible the amount of enthusiasm and angst about getting into the stadium. And I think that for someone like myself, who has had the opportunity along with IO and ONSS to be in the stadium physically and to sit in the seats and to visualize what we're going to be receiving. It's on a long-term basis, because we're talking days now. We're days away from this thing being what we need it to be, and it's spectacular. It's absolutely spectacular, and it's going to totally exceed the expectations of what the citizens of the city are expecting.
Yeah, I think nobody's playing the blame game yet. I think we're working very hard to be creative and get across the finish line. So your caterers on site and your broadcasters on site now, Glenn?
Yeah, TSN's been in. We've looked at locations for cameras for the game. We've had the beverage people in. We've got alternate plans in terms of what we can serve. We're at the site today looking at crowd control and how we can avoid bottlenecks. We now have, through the efforts of the city, 450 new parking spots at the Dom Glass site that will be available for the game. Our intention is that as we get greater certainty through the course of this week is to come outbound to our season ticket holders and the citizens and to communicate as broadly as we can what their expectation should be come Monday at 11 a.m., what the site will look like, what they can bring to the game, what they can't bring to the game, what the expectations are in beverages, the whole 9 yards, parking, anything that we can do in advance to prepare people for what they're going down to participate in, we will be doing. So we've got a communication plan. It's work in progress to the point being made by Greg. Things are unfolding hourly, and so at the moment that we can press the green light, we're going to communicate as strong as we can and let people know what they're dealing with. And if the ultimate fate is that we can't do something, we'll be dealing with that as well, and we're planning for that as well. Hopefully something we don't have to execute on.
So the concession booths, we've been told for weeks now, will not be ready, but you're finding a creative solution, a way to serve drinks and food and at the game and until those things are finished.
Absolutely.
Great. Anything else, Ben?
Absolutely.
Mayor Patino.
Mr. Chair, I want to take this opportunity again to thank John and the representatives of the construction companies, our staff, for a really amazing process that's been going on. And I believe that in the last month to 6 weeks, there's been a real commitment on the part of the people running this project to see that it gets done and not allow excuses to I mean, we can always say, well, we can play the game somewhere else, we can do this. There's so much anticipation, as Glenn said, about from the city about this stadium, and even the sense that it'll be only partially available for the Labor Day game hasn't diminished the excitement around the stadium. And I can tell you, I don't think there's anyone in this chamber who attends more public functions and stands in front of more people. And I'm not getting, well, I could cite maybe one or two examples, but any particular negativity, there's an understanding that it is a big, once-in-a-lifetime, maybe two lifetimes project, and that it may well be delayed. But that's not taking away from the notion of Hamiltonians that something special is happening. New history is being made. It's a remarkable stadium. It's a fantastic design. It's going to accommodate the needs as our original Commonwealth Games infrastructure did for almost 80 years, the Thompson Pool where I learned to swim. Just think of all the payback that has given to the city. And so now we're seeing the new stadium that's going to bring that same legacy for years ahead, and all of us will be able to look back with pride and say that it happened at this time and we were a part of the process. But most importantly, those people are the people who are making it happen. It's fine for us to sit back and make comments, and what about the lights, what about this, and no one's asking me a percentage. They're just hoping and waiting and anticipating that we're about to have a great stadium, and hopefully the first teasing moment will be on Labor Day when we get partial occupancy to watch that Labor Day game. So, gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, Coralie, all the work that you've been doing on this, and it's tough, and rightfully, councilors and others have to ask hard questions, but I'm really impressed with the notion that the people who are in charge of the project see it beyond statements on a piece of paper. There's a lot of passion that's going into this, and even I'm getting the sense too from across the ocean that the construction company there, that the significant people in the administration of all of this understand that football in Hamilton, a stadium, the Pan Am Games is one of the crucial issues for us, and we want to see it done right, but we're also not looking for excuses to find ways not to get it done, especially for Labor Day. This is a very unique situation. People are working hard to get it accomplished. My personal thanks as the mayor of the city to all of you.
Councillor Whitehead.
Yeah, I mean, I asked questions, but I'm really proud of the fact that Glenn spoke to expectations and educating the fan base. You know, it's so important when you're looking at a legacy project such as the stadium and some of the challenges we've gone through. We know full well that our staff have done everything they practically can and beyond to accommodate the fast movement and hopefully meeting the expectations of the Labor Day game. So certainly our staff has done a yeoman's job, and I certainly make my hats off to them. I know that IO and the contractors doing their very best to meet all the requirements. They understand the importance of moving forward as quick as practical. But the tone is always about, and I want to make this clear to the residents, and Mr. McGrill made a presentation, it is the major priority here is that we do it safely. And I think that's the theme that I've heard through the presentations and the questions that were asked. I think it's a loud, clear message that we are not compromising on safety, period. This will be a state-of-the-art facility. It will be a facility that will be safe, even on a temporary occupation, because the staff and the contractor and IO are committed to that. So that's the message I certainly would like to ensure that the fans that will be attending the game, hopefully attending the game on the Labor Day weekend, that this will be a very secure and safe facility for them to enjoy. Now, the second part, which was really impressive, is that a lot of times people have huge expectations in regards to this big new stadium, and yes, it's going to be great when it's completed. It's a temporary occupancy, and we need to ensure that those expectations are somewhat belated, because when people go in and understand and appreciate that this is still under construction, is still not complete, but this is a taste of what's to come in regards to that experience. Because when you leave, you want to make sure that people's expectations and experience experience are aligned. And I think the fact that that Glenn has put it very succinctly, that those expectations and what to expect to the fans will be pronounced to the public in the upcoming days is so important and is very helpful. So when people leave that stadium, not only that are they going to have the experience of the great football game, they're not only going to have the experience of what this stadium could be when it's completed, but they won't have any gripes in the context of things that are not completed because they'll know through the communication what to expect. So I think this is all in all a good information, and I really appreciate everyone involved. Thank you.
Okay, I have no other speakers. I see no hands going up on the front row, so I can't, sir. I'm sorry.
Just got to get my head.
Oh, okay. But you can't not make any more comments unless the committee approves it. Okay, so we've had a motion to receive the presentations. Moved and second. All in favor? Carried. And is there any other business? Motion by adjourn, second. Bob, all in favor? Carried.
The Tiger Packer organization, I think, is something that we're all proud of.
And he's... Half a second, guys. My audio is just a little bit low. Half a second, I'm sorry.
Should I do that one again?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Half a second.
It could be this, too.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Gotcha.
Greg, saying that you're more than 50% done isn't much of a consolation to fans who are hoping to play there on Monday. Is that the best guarantee you can give us?
No, I didn't say that we were 50% done. I said that our expectation of obtaining an occupancy permit for the game is well above 50%. Construction itself is well above 85%.
But having a well above 50% chance really is kind of slim when in the grand scheme of things.
Well, unfortunately, we can't make 100% commitment to that right now. So what we're trying to do at this point in time is what we know is that we feel that the occupancy will be achieved, and we're doing our utmost to assure that. But there are a number of tests and inspections that are going to be done over the next couple of days, and that will dictate if we're going to obtain it or not. So it's a little early for me to predict that.
Understandably, has it ever been considered that perhaps the opening should be delayed so that everybody has a little more breathing room and that safety concerns are not put at risk, those types of things?
Well, safety is not going to be put at risk. The fundamental approach here is that there has to be absolute safety for all the occupants of the building. And we wouldn't even entertain a Labor Day game if that was a question.
So bottom line, Thursday being Compliance Day, is that the day when we'll know for sure if it's a go or not?
I would say Thursday, Friday. Yeah, those 2 days.
And can I go back to the question, just what are you most proud of about this stadium, though, in terms of, like, specifically, if you could speak to some of the features?
Well, I mean, the stadium itself is a beautiful design. It is state-of-the-art. The sound system and the scoreboard is state-of-the-art equipment, so I think it will really create a great fan experience for people that attend the games. And the technology is the best it can be. So I think those aspects of it will be a big benefit to anyone that uses it.
So what are the obstacles to preventing the stadium from not opening? What are the...
Well, we could come into an issue with perhaps a PA system might not be functioning the first time through the test. We'd have to redo that because that is part of the life safety. So it's just a matter of making sure that any little glitch that may come up, that we are able to resolve that quickly so to come into compliance. So in these types of facilities, there's always a risk that there'll be little things that aren't functioning the way that the building inspector would like to see them function, or the fire marshal. So those are the kinds of things that we have to deal with over the next couple of days.
Have you had to fix anything in response to these inspections so far? Has there been any issues?
We've had inspections all the way through it, and we are complying with anything that is found to be
ONSS, and so you can see from some of the photographs posted, there's a company called Look that's been doing the commissioning inside the bowl, where you can actually see the Tiger Cat logos, and you can now see looking outside at the partners' gates going up. So there's a fair bit of decorating, you might say, that falls to us that is part of what we're doing. And also, we're coordinating with our food and beverage contractor, Levy, to bring in, I think I heard 70 skids of material, food and so on for the game and beverage, and there's trailers, and we're going down there again today to set up where we'd have our will call window, to look at how we would manage the crowd, because the crowd will be entering from the south end. And so there's different things that we're working on crowd flow. And also the announcement about the new parking available at the Domglass site. So that's 400 sites of parking we didn't have previously. So that's good news, positive for the fans.
Are the Ticats expecting any compensation similar to the $1 million a game for a partially complete stadium?
We haven't approached anybody on the financial side. I think I was saying yesterday, sometimes in life you have to keep the main thing. And the main thing right now is being in there and playing a game on Monday. So that's where our focus is. The compensation, delays, all of that sort of thing, that's something we'll deal with down the highway.
So you're 100% sure that you will be playing on Labor Day?
I have a lot of confidence, just as a lay person going through the stadium, but ultimately it's up to the building department. They're going to make the call, and at the point they make the call, then we move from being in an uncertain mode to a certain mode, and then we can act.
Is there like a plan B after that?
Yes, our CEO, Scott Mitchell, confirmed yesterday that we have a potential backup plan and playing at the Rogers Centre. So I think more information will come out on that as we move into the world of certainty.
We've been told that the cutoff date is Thursday, Friday, at least from Greg's perspective. For you guys, especially when you're dealing with food and things like that, is there concern that you're bringing in a whole bunch of stuff that potentially might spoil if it's not played there?
Well, no, I think food-wise, given what the news is on the concession areas, and we're not having anything that we have to comply with health and safety, so we're not going to bring in anything that's going to spoil or anything that's going to be a risk for the public consumption. So the things we're bringing in are, things like beer and and at the appropriate time, I think Levy has a plan to bring in sandwiches and things like that. So they've got some backup ideas that we think will help with the crowd, and we're going to try to make sure we're outbound well in front of the game to let people know what to expect, what to bring. We talked about our security, what we would allow at the gate with people bringing things in. So we're going to manage all of that. We're trying to get out in front of what we think some of the issues might be and plan for it.
Have you been in touch with some of the ticket holders with regards to the fact that Upper Bowl is not going to be accessible and you're not going to have that?
Yeah, we've got probably, I think the latest numbers were about 95% of the people were really relocating. They want to be at the game. And frankly, although they were going to be sitting on the Upper West Side, great seats, there's not a bad seat in the place. So I don't think anybody's going to be terribly disappointed with the relocation that is underway. And the fans have been absolutely understanding. They understand that it's outside our control, and everyone wants to be at the game. And they want to see a good football game, and they want to sit there and look around and visualize what the final look is going to be. And it's spectacular.
How concerned?
Yes. Yep.
How concerned or perhaps disappointed are you that the stadium is not going to be in its glory that we all anticipate for this opening game, and how that may adversely affect the fans that are going to be there, and just the fact that this is a historical day and it's not going to be 100%?
Well, last fall when we started down the highway of selling season tickets, we were showing our season ticket fans and new season ticket potential people what it was going to look like. And we relied on our renderings, on our pictures, and we sold people the vision of what it was going to look, and people visualize what it was going to feel like. So for us, we had our own vision of what July 26th was going to look like, and unfortunately, it's just not worked out that way. Sure, I would say we're disappointed, but you know what?
that's life sometimes. You have things that fall in front of you. A lot of people work in Whitewater on worse things in this situation. I've certainly been involved in a lot worse messes than this in my working life, and frankly, this is, what's the problem? What are the solutions? What's within your control? It's not a lot different in Ken Austin. If you listen to Ken talk about where the team's practicing, and he won't accept excuses for things that are outside of the control, and we're trying not to as well. But as we get closer to the opening and our expectations and that of the citizens just get higher. It's all ramped up. Everyone's getting excited. So if we're not there Monday, there's going to be certainly a strong level of disappointment, but we'll manage that if that's the way it has to be.
Have you ever considered asking OSS? Sorry?
Let me ask you a quick question. The Hurricanes football team were really upset because they were supposed to have their opening game.
Was it not on the whole time?
So in terms of the stadium inspections, the prioritization of this, is it delaying any other inspections or permits?
The very clear answer is no, it's not delaying any other permits and reviews. The inspector for that precinct is dedicated to the precinct only, and for that particular area has done a lot of new construction, so spending time in the stadium works out very well for that person, but in no way affects other small businesses or their process of such.
Is there any overtime costs for the inspections, and if so, how is that being budgeted?
Currently, there's overtime planned for the weekend to come, and will be billed directly to the construction company. We've given them the amounts of the dollars per hour of the contractor that will be involved and the inspector involved.
Thank you.